Le damos la bienvenida a todas las personas que se empiezan a unir a nuestro webinar informativo el día de hoy con Penn State University Dickinson Law, ubicada en los Estados Unidos. Este es sin duda alguna un espacio fundamental para todos aquellos que tengan un proyecto académico planteado y organizado en este país y en esta institución. Mi nombre es Karen Martínez, soy asistente del área de Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales en Colfuturo y el día de hoy estoy con Anthony Ogden, el representante para Latinoamérica de esta institución y nos va a compartir información fundamental sobre opciones de financiación, hospedaje, oferta académica y bueno, todos los temas relacionados con la institución y con esta facultad que les puedan ser de utilidad. Adicionalmente, les quiero recordar a todos que Colfuturo tiene un convenio con esta institución que consta de un descuento de mínimo el 50% en el valor de la matrícula para estudiantes financiados por Colfuturo. Una vez más, los invito a que puedan poner todas sus preguntas, inquietudes, observaciones en el cajón de Q&A y si quieren también en el chat. Con Anthony los estaremos resolviendo a lo largo de la sesión. Entonces, por favor, aprovechen mucho estos espacios de poder contactarse de forma directa con un representante de las instituciones académicas y solucionar de forma oportuna todas las inquietudes y las dudas que tengan al respecto. Sin mayor preámbulo, Anthony, thank you so much for being here today with us. We are so happy to have you here. You can go ahead and start your presentation.
Well, thank you, Karen, very much. It's great to be here. Thank you all for joining, and thank you to COLFUTURO for sponsoring today's presentation. It really is exciting to be back with you. I remember visiting your offices there in Bogota a couple of years ago, and I've enjoyed the relationship. So thank you very, very much. And folks, this time is for you. I'm going to provide a few comments here and there, but feel free to use the chat, and we can talk via the chat or the Q&A as you wish to answer any questions or make any observations that would be helpful to you. Now, I believe I'm sharing my screen. Karen, do I have a thumbs up from you? You can see that, correct? Again, I would like to welcome you to this session focused on a Master of Laws program here at Penn State Dickinson Law. My name is Anthony Ogden. I support the program here, or the various programs, in fact, here at Penn State Dickinson Law. So over the next 20 minutes, I'd like to introduce you a little bit to Penn State University, a little bit to Penn State Dickinson Law, and talk in great depth about the LLM program and answer any questions and have any discussion that you might like to have together. So again, this is your time, so let's make the most of it. Now, first, before we get too far into the presentation, and as we allow others to join, I'm going to share a presentation. Karen, can you confirm that you can see this video?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and play the video now for you to see.
We are Penn State Dickinson Law, a proud law school of Penn State University. Penn State University is a world-class, top-ranked research university known around the world, and Penn State Dickinson Law is Pennsylvania's first law school. We offer a one-year, flexible LLM program designed for legal professionals. For over 190 years, we have produced some of the world's finest attorneys, judges, government and corporate leaders, and legal educators. We open doors to a world of opportunities, propelling our graduates into successful legal careers. Join a vibrant community of diverse legal practitioners. Are you ready to embark on your LLM journey? Pursue your LLM degree at Penn State Dickinson Law.
A cute little video, don't you think? Now let me see if I can get out of that video. There we go. And back to the presentation. So folks, let me again start with Penn State University. Penn State.
What's the difference between a service animal and an emotional support?
My apologies. Penn State University is I hope you've heard of Penn State University. It's a top 1% ranked university in the world. In fact, it's considered one of the best universities in the world, top 100 all around. It is a large university. We have over 90,000 students and 20,000 professionals or faculty and administrative staff. Because it is so large, we have 24 campuses all around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or the state of Pennsylvania. It's a public university. We often are considered a public Ivy university because of its high rank in the world. I think particularly important for you as lawyers is that Penn State, because it is such a large institution, we have alumni all around the world. And frankly, when I'm out and about in the world and I'm wearing a Penn State shirt or a Penn State cap, I'm always stopped on the street by people who said, oh, they went to Penn State University as well. And in fact, when I have visited Columbia in the past, this has happened to me several times out in public where people who are very familiar with Penn State University. Now, at Penn State University, we have Penn State Dickinson Law. That is the law school of Penn State University. Now, the law school here is the oldest law school in Pennsylvania. It's the first law school in Pennsylvania, and in fact, is one of the oldest law schools in all of the country. What's interesting in particular is that Penn State University has, or Penn State Dickinson Law has two locations. We have a location here where I'm sitting. This is Carlisle, and this is the primary location of the law school. And we have a second location in State College, Pennsylvania. That's actually a city name, State College, Pennsylvania. That campus name is University Park. So we actually have two locations of Penn State Dickinson Law, and I will talk a little bit more about the differences between those two locations in a moment. That said, at Penn State Dickinson Law, we offer 4 degree programs. Today, we're going to speak briefly about the Master of Laws. That's the LLM. So in order to come to an LLM program in the United States, you need to already have a first degree in law there in Columbia or elsewhere. In the United States, we don't actually have a first degree in law as an undergraduate. In fact, in order to become a lawyer in the United States, students go to law school for 3 years after completing their 4-year bachelor's degree. But for international students, if you already have a law degree, you can come here and do our LLM program, and it only takes 1 academic year to do that, which I will tell you a little bit more about in a moment. But before I get too far into describing the LLM program here, I kind of want to give you a few quick thoughts on factors that you might want to consider when making a decision between law schools. There are many good law programs around the world. There are many good LLM programs, in particular in the United States. And so how do you make a decision? Penn State is very well known, but what else should you be thinking about? So here on the screen, perhaps in bad Spanish, my apologies, but thank you, Google Translate. I think you do need to consider these 10 points at least. The first being the prestige or the ranking of the institution. You want to consider the areas of specialization. What areas of law can you study? Many of you will be experts in one or more particular areas of law, and so you want to do a Master of Laws to further engage in that particular field of study. I'll talk about these areas here in a moment with regard to Penn State Dickinson Law. Number 3, think about the total cost of enrollment. Most students think about the total cost of tuition, but that would be a mistake. For example, it would definitely be far cheaper to live in Pennsylvania than, say, living in New York or California. So think about the total cost of enrollment, and I'll explain more about that later. Think about scholarships. What scholarships are on offer at the institution? And then also, again, think about the areas of, well, I guess number 2, pardon my my lack of Spanish, but I guess number 2 would be more of the areas of the faculty expertise, whereas number 5 would be focused more on whether or not the program is generalized or specialized. Now, those are particular terms. In a generalized program, you go to the law school and you're able to enroll in courses, pretty much any course on offer. A specialized LLM is one where you go and you only take courses in a particular area of law. Most LLM students in the United States prefer generalized programs, and the reason being is because you can concentrate in any particular area of law that you want, but you can also take required courses, for example, to be able to sit for a bar exam in the United States. Our program is generalized. Next, you really want to think about the city. Well, actually, that's number 8 is the location. You want to think about whether the classes are integrated or separate. And what I mean by integrated or separate would be oftentimes larger LLM programs are such that you're only in class with other international students. Others allow you to take classes alongside the American students. Our classes here at Penn State Dickinson Law are integrated, meaning you're in class alongside American students. You want to think about the career support that you're going to receive and what other types of support you'll receive, such as support for the bar exam. Anyhow, we can talk all about these questions, these factors for decision as we go along. But the most important question that you need to ask yourself, or questions rather, is why do you want to do an LLM degree? Why do you want to do so in the United States? And why particularly at Penn State Dickinson Law? You need to be able to very clearly answer those questions, or maybe this is not the right time for you. So do think about that and these factors for decision making. Now, feel free as we go along to ask any questions in the chat or the Q&A. I'm monitoring those platforms. So if you have comments or questions, feel free to add those in the chat. But as I go along now, I'd like to speak a little bit more now in particular about the LLM program here at Penn State Dickinson Law. First, it is a one academic year residential program. And what that means is you come in August. Some of you are considering as coming next year. You're coming here, you will arrive in August, and you will graduate in May the following year, or May 2026. So it is one academic year. Students here, because this is a generalized program with integrated enrollment, you can take almost any course that we have on offer at Penn State Dickinson Law. Another highlight to think about is that because of the wonderful partnership that we have with COLFUTURO, all of you, if you're a recipient of the COLFUTURO funding support, you will automatically be considered for a minimum 50% scholarship. It could be much higher, but it won't be lower than 50%. So that is a real testament to the positioning that COLFUTURO has in the world, and we are so very glad to be partnering with them. Now, another benefit of an LLM program is after you finish, when you graduate in May, if you want, you can stay. If you're an international student here, you can stay in the United States for what we call optional practical training, or OPT, optional practical training. In other words, you can get a job. After you finish when you graduate in May, you can stay on for another 12 months if you wish, and you can seek employment and within a legal context and earn a salary. So it's pretty amazing, actually, that you can get that experience. Now, of course, staying on beyond those 12 months would be dependent on whether or not you find an employer willing to hire you beyond that. But at a minimum, you could stay for 12 months. So those are some important factors to consider as well at Penn State Dickinson Law. Now, curricularly, the program is one academic year, and you are required to take 24 credits. In the United States, each course has a number of credits that are offered. You need to have a total of 24 credits in order to graduate. Or in our fall semester, that would be 12 credits. In our spring semester, that would be 12 credits. There are some required courses that you need to take in order to graduate as an LLM program, but generally you have a lot of flexibility. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that there are two locations, Carlisle and University Park, or University Park is located in State College, Pennsylvania. Anyhow, those two locations are, because they are about 2 hours apart by car, you can't easily go back and forth. So we will allow, going forward, students to take certain courses remotely, meaning they're not online courses, but they would just be offered remotely so that you can engage in particular courses. So in other words, you have literally hundreds of courses that you can select from in law while you're here. So it really opens up a really great opportunity. Now, as I said, ours is a generalized LLM program. And what that means is you can take any courses that are on offer. However, many of you will want to specialize in a particular area of law. such as business law or intellectual property or litigation and dispute resolution or whatever the case may be. Penn State Dickinson Law actually offers over 20 concentrations in law. So every topic you can imagine, really, from health law to family law, you name it, we offer all of the different areas of specialization. So essentially, if you come here, you will graduate and your diploma will say Penn State University, Penn State Dickinson Law, LLM or Master of Laws with a concentration in, for example, business law. So you get the best of both worlds. And that, again, is very, very important because some of you are going to want to take a bar exam. And many LLM students in the United States choose to take the bar exam in the state of New York. It is possible to take the bar exam in Pennsylvania or other places, but most students, I would say 80% of students, internationally trained lawyers like yourselves, will take the bar in New York State. Now, what's important to remember is that when you or while you're a student in the LLM program, it is important that you take specific courses that will be required to be eligible for the bar exam. For example, this first one here, professional responsibility. Well, professional responsibility is an important course, but if you're not planning to take the bar exam, you may not need that course, and so you may not take it. But if you think that you would like to take a bar exam, whether now or well into the future, you want to take those courses so that you're eligible for the bar exam. I've added here, excuse me, I've added here a QR code, so you can scan that now if you want, but here's the website as well. You definitely want to look at whether you want to take the New York bar or the California bar or Washington, D.C., whatever the case may be. The LLM program may make you eligible to sit for some of these bar exams. And many international students do so because once they take a bar exam and they become a licensed attorney, for example, in New York, when you return home to Columbia, you're able to maybe perhaps expand your opportunities for employment there, perhaps with some law firms that deal with American clients. So let me talk now briefly about the requirements for admission. As I mentioned earlier, it is important for each of you to have a first degree in law. Now, that's really important that you have that first degree. Now, you don't need to have completed it at this point. You just need to have completed it by the time you arrive. So if you're in law school, if you're studying law right now, and you want to come and do your LLM right away, starting in August, you can go ahead and apply. You just need to have finished your degree before you arrive. We prioritize experience in law. And of course, if you're having any trouble whatsoever understanding me right now, you may not be ready for the law program here. We do ask that you have a TOEFL score, such as or an IELTS score or Duolingo. But remember, speaking and listening are skills that are important. But in law school, you really need to have very, very strong skills in reading and writing. In particular, some of the students come to me here and they say, oh my, I had 200 pages to read last night. So you're going to have a lot of reading and writing. So make sure that you think about that. So those are the admission criteria. Now, in order to apply, we have two options. You can go to our website via this QR code, and you can submit an application directly to Penn State Dickinson Law, or you can go to the Law School Admission Council and you can submit an application via LSAC. Either way is fine, and neither have fees. So essentially, there is no application fee for the application to apply directly. However, Law School Admission Council, or LSAC, does require a modest fee. If you don't want to pay that fee, you can write to me and I can issue you a coupon to waive that fee. Now, when you apply, you need to have a personal statement. You need to have a resume or a CV. You will need your transcripts. You'll need to be able to demonstrate that you can read and that you have English proficiency. And we ask for 2 letters of recommendation. So when you're writing that personal statement, many students ask questions about that. The simple answer is we don't need a long essay. We just really want a response to why do you want to do an LLM degree, why in the US, and why at Penn State Dickinson Law. So if you are applying to multiple institutions, don't use the same essay. Make sure you're using an essay that's really specifically written for Penn State Dickinson Law. It will be better for you. And the reason why it's better for you is not only for admission, but it gives us more information about who you are and what you're looking for. And the clearer we are on that, the higher your scholar. So let me repeat that. With COLFUTURO students, you have an automatic 50% scholarship minimum. But if you want more, make sure you have a strong application, not only for admission, but also for a scholarship. So make a strong letter, a personal statement. Make sure you have 2 strong letters of recommendation. Now, I imagine you have questions. So again, feel free to use the question and answer tool or use the chat function. Either way, I'm going to be monitoring, in particular, the chat function here. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat, and so that I can answer those for you as we go along. Okay. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the 2 locations. It's Penn State, let's be honest, it's a top school, a top LLM program. It really is a great opportunity for students. It is a 200-year-old law school. It's well received, well recommended by many people. But the challenge now you have to make is if you wish to go to Penn State Dickinson Law, then you have to choose where to study. So as I said, we have 2 locations. And so if you see this little map here, this is the eastern seaboard, the Atlantic Ocean. Here's New York City. Here's Philadelphia. Here is, I think I can do a pointer. Let's see. Well, and here's Philadelphia. Down here is Washington, D.C. Where I'm located, this campus, again, is called Carlisle. This campus is located near Harrisburg. That is the capital city for Pennsylvania. Many people think Philadelphia is the capital city, but it is not. It's Harrisburg. And so the reason we were founded here 200 years ago is arguably this is the legal and political center of Pennsylvania. So if you come to study here, not only do I get to meet you, but this is the primary campus for the law school. So the dean is located here. And also this town is very legally centric. So the picture of the people here walking, it is a walkable town. It's a lovely little town. You'll be able to meet all of the other students very quickly. I can answer any questions about it, but I quite love it. Now, the other campus, University Park, is located in this city called State College. Now, State College is, the University Park location is the largest Penn State campus. There are over 50,000 students there. It's huge. And because of that, that's where our athletic teams are there. So if you like American football, you might enjoy that there. I lived in this city for 8 years. I did my PhD at Penn State University, and I lived here, and I really, really loved it. Now, whereas this is a very large campus with all sorts of areas of study, this campus where I'm located is only a law school campus, meaning every professor here is a law school professor. Every student here is a law school student. Whereas here, you have every discipline you can imagine. So you can choose between the 2 locations as you wish. So if you really want a focus, a pure focus on law in a legal setting, in a legal community, the Carlisle campus is really very, very good. If you really want to see more of that American experience, that American campus vibe, where there's also a law school, then that would be also a very good option for you. This Carlisle, I think, is a little more convenient to New York City. You can quickly take a train and go to New York City. I prefer to go to Washington, D.C. So it really just depends on what you're looking for. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Now, here again is Penn State Dickinson Law. This is the primary campus. And you can see here with this QR code, you can take a virtual tour of the campus. Incidentally, we are right next door to Dickinson College, which is one of the oldest colleges in all of the United States. It's a private school, a very good school. This is a photo of our building in University Park. You can see here it's a very modern steel and glass building. It's beautiful inside. One of the big differences between the LLM programs is that this campus has about 175 LLM students. So it's a much larger group of LLM students, whereas this campus has roughly 25 LLM students. So it is much more of a focused environment here for the 25 students. Here, it's much larger. So you're more likely to be in and around LLM students most of the time. That said, Penn State University welcomes students from all around the world. It's a lot of fun. Now, let me talk a little bit about cost. LLM programs in the United States are expensive. No matter where you study, they're expensive. As you can see here, the current cost of tuition is roughly $59,000 at Penn State. Now, keep in mind, if you get an automatic scholarship, that would be half that cost. So let me just say here, for example, if get my calculator out. So if you take 58,872 and say minus 60%, let's say you get a 60% scholarship, you would only be paying $23,000. So it's far better. Now, when I mentioned a moment ago about cost of attendance, this is really what I was referring to. A lot of students pay attention only to the tuition, or they pay attention to only the scholarship amount. That would be a mistake. You really want to look at all of the other cost of your presence here. So, for example, you have to live, you have to eat, you have to have a place to sleep, you have to get here. So you really want to pay attention to those costs. Now, for example, we say here $11,000. This is if really is an estimate if you got your own private apartment by yourself. Most LLM students, however, choose to have a roommate. So, for example, one LLM student who came by my office this morning, she and her roommate share an apartment, and they each pay about $500 a month. So ultimately, it is far cheaper than what you might think. If you lived in, say, Washington, D.C., or California, or Chicago, or New York, or someplace, your rent would most likely be $3,000. So you definitely want to be paying attention not only to the scholarship amount or only to the tuition amount. Pay attention to all of the cost of being here, and you'll find that Pennsylvania is very, very affordable. I like it as I live here, and I live just a 2-minute walk from here. It is a much more affordable place to live than other places in the United States. And before we turn to questions, I want to just also mention law schools vary by the level of support they provide for LLM students with regard to careers, as well as bar exam preparation. I can tell you here at Penn State Dickinson Law, especially here in Carlisle, where I'm located, you will have considerable support from our Career Services Office and others here to support your career development. In fact, before you even arrive, you will have a career workshop with our Career Services Office. The first day you're on campus, you will have another career workshop, and then you will have career workshops almost every week for the rest of the semester. They're optional, but many of you are looking for an OPT placement or maybe even a permanent job afterwards. And if that's the case, then this career level support will be very, very valuable to you. Also, Penn State University is one of the few schools that participates in the New York International Student Interview Program. This is a career fair just for LLM students. So it's pretty amazing that you can actually seek employment by, or at least have interviews with employers looking specifically to hire LLM students. So it's a great opportunity. So with that, I would like to invite you, because there's so few of us here today, go ahead and pose any of your questions in the chat, or if you would like, I think you can raise your hand and we can allow you to speak, perhaps. So what questions do you have?
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for this excellent presentation. So yes, we have some questions for you. The first one is, it's absolutely mandatory to have a bachelor degree in law, or also could be in political science or international relations?
Thank you, Karen. It is important that you have a first degree in law. It is possible in certain cases to come to the US to do a Master of Laws. But if your first degree is not law, you would never be eligible to sit for a bar exam. So it might be okay, but you wouldn't be eligible to do much with only the LLM and not a first degree in law. So my recommendation is, if you're going to spend a lot of time and money and you don't have a first degree in law, I wouldn't do an LLM. It would be
Okay.
too much money and time. I would wait.
Well, the recommendation letter could be from job experience or only academic.
Both, whatever you think. Yeah. Most students will do one from a professor and one from somebody who's known them in a professional sense. If you are already working in a career setting, in a legal setting, definitely ask one of your employers to write a letter of recommendation if they're willing. But those letters of recommendation, to think of it differently, we look at your application. We also look at the letters of recommendation to say, is this student admissible? Yes, that's easy decision. But are they a good investment? In other words, if we give 50% of our tuition to this student, to you, are you going to go off and become very successful? Because we don't want to make an investment in you unless we know that you are very clear and that you have lifetime career promise. So we definitely want to do that with you. So definitely show us why you want to do an LLM, why you want to do so in the United States, and why at Penn State Dickinson Law. If you can answer those 3 questions very clearly, it makes our life easier, because I'm the person who reads your application. So it makes it a lot easier for us then to determine what level of investment to make. So yeah, definitely be clear on that. I will also say that on our website, if you go to our website, down in the lower right-hand corner of the website, you'll see a little WhatsApp icon. If you go to that WhatsApp icon, quite literally, you can text me directly, or you can text one of our current students or one of our alums. So you'll be able to have that level of engagement very, very quickly, immediately. And then also on that same icon, that WhatsApp icon, you can schedule an appointment with me directly. Many students do, so that you can have a one-on-one meeting just to talk about whatever questions that you might have. It's a big decision. You should have questions. So feel free to ask me any questions that you have. Also, if you're applying to multiple institutions, definitely meet those representatives before you go. You want to make sure it's a very good fit for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, Eliana says, if I get accepted, I automatically get the 50% discount in tuition. Yeah. But you said that the university can give another scholarship, meaning it wouldn't interfere the one I get from COLFUTURO. It's right?
Well, we don't know what level of funding you get from COLFUTURO. All we know from COLFUTURO is whether or not they've approved you for funding. Our scholarship level is based on your application. And so it's not a second scholarship, it's a larger scholarship. In other words, our agreement with COLFUTURO is that we promise you a minimum 50% scholarship. But if your application is very, very strong, we can increase that application or that scholarship amount. It could be 100% depending on your application. So we promise a minimum, but it could be 100%. Now keep in mind, that's a percentage of tuition cost. Unfortunately, we do not provide scholarships support beyond tuition. So your apartment or your food, that's beyond our ability. But what we can do is provide a percentage discount on the tuition.
Perfect. Elena also is asking, I did 2 degrees, law and psychology. In this case, would it be acceptable to have a letter of recommendation from one teacher of each career, or would it be better to have recommendations only from law teachers or law college?
Well, I guess my gut would say either is fine, but I think having a professor in law who will speak to your promise as a lawyer in the future would be the better option. So I would probably suggest that you definitely speak more to have a lawyer or previous law professor write your letters. I think that might be the better option. Either is fine because they can both speak to your ability as a student, but the law professor can speak to your future promise as a lawyer.
Perfect. Anthony, it is required a specific GPA to be admitted?
No, but if you submit a transcript that is all failing grades, probably we're not going to be very excited about your application. But no, we don't necessarily look at a GPA.
Perfect. Okay. On the other hand, could be possible to have a job meanwhile people are studying.
That's a good question. Thank you. A lot of students, LLM students, while you're a student, it is possible for you to work on campus. If you are a Colombian person and you're here as an international student, then it is possible for you to work on campus. It is not legal for you to work off campus during your time so during the school year, you're permitted to work 20 hours a week on campus or up to 40 hours a week during school breaks. Now, you can get a job on campus. The jobs that we offer are hourly paid. On the Carlisle campus, it's a bit smaller, and because of that, many students I find work for professors as assistants, or I have 2 LLM students who work with me. At the other location, University Park, because it's so big, you can get jobs doing anything, working in Starbucks on campus. It's okay. So the challenge, however, is not the opportunity for jobs. The real challenge is most LLM students actually don't have time to work. So while it's possible, you are very, very busy. Most students come and they say, well, I'm going to work 20 hours a week, but in reality, they work maybe 5 or 6 because they're so busy. So be mindful of that. If you want to work, that's fine, but you may not be able to. So be ready for that.
Perfect. And the last question that we have is, if I have a specialization from a Colombian university, could this give me more chances to be admitted?
Well, yes. And if that specialization is from your Colombian university is in a particular area and you want to continue studying that, Penn State's really good because not only are we the oldest law school, we're actually one of the largest now law schools because of the 2 campuses. And that means you can take pretty much a specialization or a concentration in any area. So if you say, I studied intellectual property, for example, in Colombia, and now I want to further my studies of intellectual property in a US context, that makes good sense. So while we don't require a concentration, it certainly shows more determination.
Oh, that's perfect. Anthony, thank you. Thank you very much. We don't have any more question for you. Thank you for this interesting information. This institution is an unmissable destination for all those who want to pursue a law career. We learned a lot from you. So thank you so much. And we really hope to see you in the next opportunity.
Well, very, very good. So let me just quickly in closing here, Karen, just to say, I'm going to go back up here. And again, my apologies for Google Translate. But if these, in summary, everybody, take a picture of this because I want you to, when you're thinking about law school, pay attention to what's really most important to you. In summary, Penn State is one of the best ranked universities. We have top world-class faculty. The cost of enrollment is very affordable relative to other law schools. We have a promise of scholarship. We have a generalized curriculum that will allow you to take the bar exam. We have it's integrated classes. We have convenience to the major cities. We have career support. Really, Penn State Dickinson Law has the full package. But you have to make the determination about what's important for you. So with that, Karen, thank you very much. And thank you to all the good people at COLFUTURO. Everybody, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anthony. See you in the next time.
Bye-bye.
Todos nuestros asistentes, también mil gracias por su participación y sus preguntas. Esperamos que se sigan uniendo a este tipo de espacios y pues claramente están todos muy invitados a contactarse directamente con Anthony en el caso de que tengan cualquier inquietud. Muchas gracias a todos. Feliz tarde. Thank you, Anthony. Goodbye.
Bye.